When you picture nature at its finest, is there a meadow in that picture? I can't think of any better alternative to lawn. People are catching on to the fact that we need to support nature. So in this video, I'm going to show you a fairly quick way to start your own meadow in your own yard. It will be a wonderland for many butterflies, moths, birds, insects, and even all the little turtles and frogs and little creatures will come along to discover what you have built. And it can all come to life this summer. Then in the following years, it will become even more healthy and beautiful and bountiful, as it will be full of lots of life. I've been looking out my windows all winter, dreaming about the meadow that I want to build right here in this area behind me. I've spent lots of time researching, first, how to start a meadow, and second, what kind of plants to put in the meadow. I've evaluated all the different ways of starting a meadow, and here's what I've come up with: a culmination of activities and methods that will work for me and hopefully for you. Now, your situation might be a little different from mine, but you can take the basics from my instructions, and if you follow these instructions, you and I should see great results this summer. First, I chose this area at the north corner of my property, in front of the woods. If you look back into the woods, you'll see a walking trail, and beyond that, a little stream. This is already a beautiful natural setting. There are many native trees, lots of spring ephemerals. There are some native understory trees and shrubs as well. So all of that woodland life is awesome. But in this sunny area, I can create an amazing meadow that will support an even healthier ecosystem right in my own backyard. This area gets at least 6 hours of direct sunlight each day, which is the minimal amount needed. I came out here a few times to place branches around the perimeter of the area, each time expanding it more and more, and now I think I have the area defined. I just measured it, and it is basically 46 feet by 31 feet. It's an odd shaped area, but I did the best I could measuring the square footage, which is a little over 1,400 square feet. I also chose this area because, as you might be able to see, the grass does not grow very well on this slope. So I figured, why not plant some things that will grow here? Native wildflowers and perennials don't need soil full of nutrients. They can adapt to all different types of soil. So this will be a win-win situation. Now, I am showing you this video a little bit ahead of time, so you will have time to get excited and get your materials ready before the beginning of May, if you live in Zone 7. Now, the first thing we need to do is remove the grass that is still present. So what I'll do is scrape it, trying to keep my shovel from going down too low. Now, there's a lot of rocks in this soil, so it takes a little bit of extra energy, but it's doable. Anything that doesn't come up, I'll just pull myself. And then when I get a pile of all of these grass roots, they can go into my compost pile, as long as I don't see any seed heads on anything. Now, if I were starting a meadow on flat land without a lot of rock in it, I would probably rent a rototiller. But in this case, this is what I need to do. So let's just pretend I removed all the grass. I'll rake it, smooth it out all around. I can leave the rocks in there or remove them. Either way is fine. So let's pretend the whole area is cleared. Now, I might spread some topsoil and possibly even a little bit of compost over the whole area if I have some ready. Other than that, the soil in the meadow really doesn't need any additives. When you think about it, meadows grow all the time all over the world without any special fertilizers or help. Now, I want to plan 2 paths through the meadow down to the main trail that goes into the woods. So of course I don't have a yardstick with me, but I do have this tape measure. So I'm going to measure the width of my manual lawnmower, which is about 2.5 feet. I'm going to break that stick there, and I'm going to plan on a trail that goes along this edge of the meadow and then somewhere along that side. I'll take some spray paint and just spray along the edge to create that 2-foot area, which after I plant all my seed is actually going to be grass. I'll plant some new grass seed in there so that we can mow around the meadow. The next thing I'll do is mix some annual flower seeds in with some sand or vermiculite. Sand is better, but I didn't have any, so here I have some vermiculite. I'm going to mix the seeds in with it. It's good to just do one kind at a time, but I don't have that many of either one. So I have nasturtiums here, and I have cornflowers. Oh, they have a brilliant blue color. Going to mix them in with my hand, and then I can broadcast them just like when you're feeding chickens. You're going to broadcast it across the areas that you want it. Now in this case we're going to leave open some spaces because I'm going to plant some native perennials in these empty spaces for now. I've been doing some winter sowing, so I hope to have quite a bunch of perennials to plant in here this year. Some other annual seeds that would work great in a meadow the first year would be zinnias, cosmos, calendulas, and sunflowers. They would bloom this year and create lots of beautiful color, and the birds and insects and pollinators would love them. Now, if I don't have enough perennial plants to start with, I can always go to a nursery and buy some, or I can transplant from other areas of my yard or a friend's yard, or I can order some online. There are things called plugs. They're trays of little plants that were started in cells that are super long, so the roots grow really long. They're very well established. And one great source for those plugs is Izel Plant Nursery. You can find it online. It's IZEL. You might also want to consider planting a few native ornamental grasses in your meadow. Remember, I said native. Don't go with any of those non-natives because some of them are even invasive and those seed heads spread everywhere. You want to keep it native. That's the whole idea here. So this meadow will actually start servicing lots of pollinators and insects and butterflies and birds this summer. You'll see lots of beautiful colors. And yes, the colors keep changing throughout the growing season as well. So once you spread your annual seeds and plant your native perennials or native grasses, that's all you need to plant throughout the summer. Water the meadow initially quite often in the beginning, and then you can taper off and just water when you have dry spells in the summer. So you just get to enjoy it. And then in the fall, that's when you're going to spread all of your perennial native seeds throughout your garden. And they will germinate and grow next spring. So they'll sit on the ground all winter. They'll go through their cooling stage. And then next spring, you'll start to have your explosion of a more bountiful garden. Now, I'll spread those perennial seeds in group or swaths throughout the meadow. I like to think of it as a painting where you just have strokes of color throughout. And I'll also plan to have the shorter plants that like more sun towards the front up the hill, and the taller plants that can tolerate more shade towards the back. Now, I chose to do it this way because I am working with seeds that I already have. I went crazy ordering seeds this winter, so that's how I'm doing it. I'm using them up. Now, if you don't have all of these seeds and you're not sure which ones to get or order, the easiest thing you can do is order a native seed wildflower mix. There are a few sites online that I recommend highly, very reputable. One is Prairie Moon Nursery. Another is American Meadows, and then there is Izel Plants, I-Z-E-L. All three of those sources are excellent, and you can order seeds that match your site and your region. Some of the seed mixes they have are more flowers, some are more grass. You can choose what you want. And a good rule of thumb is to order 1 pound of seed for every 1,000 square feet of garden. Now that's if you have a highly visible area and you want a lot of flowers right away. But if you have a less visible area, you can order a little bit less. Now this was my way of starting a meadow. Your situation might be different. The main thing I'd like you to learn is the process of doing anything. That is, figure out your big plan or your dream and then take the steps to achieve it step by step. Do your homework, be flexible and willing to learn and to make changes along the way. You will evolve with your garden, and that's very rewarding. And here's a tip for those of you who live in planned communities where the people are not used to seeing meadows yet. What you can do is plant a row or two of annuals in front of the border that your neighbors will see. This way it will look nice and tidy and aesthetically pleasing to everyone who sees it. Now, some maintenance tips. Although meadows look very carefree and easy, they do require some work. You'll need to go out a few times each season, especially in the first few years, to pull out any weeds and any woody plants. Now my meadow is along the woods here, so it's natural for these trees to want to keep spreading and encroaching on the bare land. So I'll have to work especially hard at that job if I want to keep my meadow. I can always keep moving my meadow up the hill and over if I want as well. You'll also want to follow this regimen the first few years. Okay, in year 1, you'll want to cut your meadow back to about 6 inches, no lower, at least 3 times during the growing season. Yes, I know it sounds destructive and you're going to miss out on some of those flowers, but in the long run, it will create a healthier, more beautiful meadow. In the second year, in mid to late June, you're going to want to cut back, probably by a weed whacker, all of your meadow plants down to about 12 inches, no lower. This will help you to wipe out the annual weeds that are growing at that time. You might also have to do it again in a week or 2, but it's a great way to keep those annual weeds back without going out and pulling every single one. Again, that seems destructive, but you will get to enjoy your meadow for many years to come. And starting in the 3rd year, many people do what's called a controlled burn. Yes, they light their meadow on fire. Sounds crazy, but it's very effective. It controls woody plants. It will kill them down through the roots. It kills non-native plants, and it allows all the native plants to grow. Their roots can withstand the fire and come out even stronger. If interested, you can find more information on controlled burning of meadows online or in books. I don't know enough about it, and I know in my case I will not be doing it because I'm too close to the woods and I'm afraid that I'll light some trees on fire and start a big problem. And I'm not a professional meadow burning person or firewoman. So instead what I'll do is just mow the meadow down super low every year in early spring after the 3rd year. So after following those steps, you just get to enjoy your meadow, and in the following years after that, you can cut it back either with a weed whacker or a scythe down to about 1 foot in late summer or September or October. And before you do that, make sure you collect the seeds. There's lots of seeds to be had. And yes, they might disperse themselves, but if you collect them, dry them inside on a paper towel for about a week, and then refrigerate them in a paper envelope or bag, you'll have more seeds to spread around or to create a new meadow. Okay, that's it for today. If you missed any details, you can always play the video again, or you can share it with anyone else who might be interested in starting a meadow and seeing results this year. And please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your support, and leave some comments down below and let me know how you make out with your meadow, and I'll be sure to share some future videos with you so that you can see my meadow in progression.